Cue the cricket.
Hey, does anybody know when the 12-hour ASA podcasting charity stream for cystic fibrosis is?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Easy there. I'll tell you. It's October 29th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Don't
So I'm
tell
trying to-
anyone. That's under wraps.
Oh, is it under wraps?
No,
What's under wraps?
I was kidding.
Geez, don't scare me like that. Get me in trouble with Michael. Hey, if you're lucky, you'll get to hear more great parenting advice like this.
Punish the child, punch it in the head. Throw the baby in a flamethrower.
Eat the baby, Jeremy.
Right.
And Jerry's eating babies.
Hey, Victor, did you know Andrew can do some of his son's favorite impressions?
I wouldn't know.
Well, here's a couple of them.
I've been looking forward to this.
Choo choo. A little boat. Choo choo.
And of course, those of us here at ASA Podcasting find that
Adorable.
and maybe someone's favorite band by the name of
Meat Shield,
will join us and sing some of their greatest hits, including
elephant on roller skates.
Creepy Uncle Laugh, not included. Or what about this one? And finally, Colin's favorite song.
Do you have your crack cocaine in the break?
That's right. All of this could be yours and more if you tune in October 29th between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to the ASA Podcasting Cystic Fibrosis charity stream. More details to follow. This commercial is brought to you by ASA Podcasting. This episode of the Fallout Feed is brought to you by Game Talk and viewers like you.
The wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waves. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waves.
Welcome to the Fallout Feed number 49. Oh my God, how are we getting up so up in years already? I feel so young. Tonight on the Fallout Feed, we're joined by stalwart Pat. Hello, Pat. Glad to have you.
Thanks, Andrew. Good to be here.
And we have an amazing special guest this evening. Drum roll, please. Appearing specially from the mod Tales from the Commonwealth, one of my absolute favorites and absolute must recommend downloads for the Xbox mods. We have voice actor Kyle Brannan. Hello, Kyle.
Hello. How you doing?
Oh, wonderful. So glad for you to come on the show, Kyle. We've been interacting a lot on the Facebook group, which, of course, everyone knows. You can join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/a Skyrim Addict podcast. So, Kyle, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. And we're really excited to get to talk to you about all of this, how you get involved in being in a mod, what voice acting is like, and what this whole gig, how this came about, how you got to know Chris. Chris is the author of the mod, and he does the absolutely wonderful, amazing, not that I've ever played it, Skyrim mod, interesting NPCs, because I'm a console player. But pretty soon, I will be able to play interesting NPCs for Skyrim, assuming mods come with Skyrim to the console on the re-release. I'm assuming, right, guys? We've heard that. Is that positive?
Yeah, they'll make it to Xbox at least.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it'll never be on Sony, right, at this point?
PS4 out in the rain.
Yep. I am so glad I made the jump over. I don't know why. It's just because more people in the group had Xbox than PS4. And so I was like, well, if I'm ever going to do any online gaming, and at that point I was really excited for ESO. And I think Juan had an Xbox and maybe a couple other people. So I was like, well, maybe we'll get the Xbox. And I just lucked out because now I get to do mods on Fallout 4. And everyone, I just want to point it out so it's not, on everyone in the back of everyone's mind for the whole show. But I'd like to say hello to Mr. Cricket in the background.
Oh, I know.
It's like I'm doing bad stand-up comedy in my basement. So Pat, I think I think we were just gonna kind of hop in and talk to Kyle and see what voice acting is like, and maybe we'll just start with some of that. And we have an email to get to, and then a little audio feedback we'll get to after a few minutes. So I don't know, Pat. What do you want to get into first?
Sounds good. What? Why don't we just start off with a few quick? I'll admit I wrote down a few questions because I'm just like anal that way. But like, don't let us sit here and grill you. Feel free to go in any direction you want to go, and don't feel like you have to be constrained by any questions. But I thought we had a couple things to join. Just to thank you for joining. Appreciate your joining the show. I think it's been a lot of fun, as Andrew said, interacting on the Facebook group, hearing about your experience with Tales from the Commonwealth. Maybe just first of all, where are you calling from? Where are you based?
I'm in Pennsylvania, right outside State College, right outside Penn State
Yeah,
University.
another for the Pennsylvania nexus. That seems like there's a real
guys.
Yeah.
Go knit.
So I'm in suburban Philly myself, off off the main line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you're about 2.5 hours somewhere, something like that.
Yeah, just about.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So
I think Dennis is either from Pennsylvania or just over in Jersey. I know Michael's right there in suburban Philadelphia as well. Like everyone.
And Andrew, you got your Westchester roots that I learned about.
Yeah, I went to high school out there. That's stone's throw away from Philly. So
yeah. So Kyle, tell us a little about yourself. I mean, is this is voice acting? Is that like a job for you? Is it a hobby, or what's what's your day job, and how'd you get into voice acting?
You can't live in Pennsylvania and be a voice actor, can you?
That would be tough. Although with the internet now, nothing's really impossible.
Impossible. Yeah, you're right.
No, I don't do it as a full-time job. I'm actually a prison guard. Yep, and I picked this up about a year ago, roughly a year ago.
Do you have to sign an NDA to be a prison guard, or can you write stories of your experiences that you see in there?
I'm sure that it would be a PR nightmare if it actually amounted to anything, but yeah,
that's so fucking interesting. We could have our whole separate podcast on prison.
Yeah, those conversations usually start out really funny and then end with a lot of strange looks. Yeah, most people's humor level drops off once it gets dark.
Prison's fucking real, you know. It ain't a joke. I'm sure you know more than anyone.
And I just kind of picked this up last year. I was guided to a website doing searches on I was just reading an article on Frank Welker, the voice actor, and Frank did Megatron, like the old 80s Megatron. He did Scooby-Doo, Fred. You know, he's been voice acting forever, and he's done tons of people. And I was reading an article on him, and it led me to a website that just happened to have it's called Behind the Voice Actors, and it had a section of the website that said casting call on it, and I just clicked on it just to, one thing leads to another, checking it out, and it's just all these there's just lists of casting calls they've just open calls, like kind of most of them are fan projects, and most of non-paid and stuff like that, people doing abridged stuff and fan dubs and their own original series, and yeah, I started off looking at that. I took a couple months. I just was watching how that went down, and then I decided, I'd grab a cheap mic and try to start doing that stuff, and then I just kind of rolled with it, and it became a hobby. And then I went to another site and started seeing Skyrim posts for Skyrim mods for casting, and I was really interested in that. Unfortunately, I don't really have the right voice type for many roles in Skyrim. I can't do a Nord accent. I can't. I don't sound like a Khajiit.
I was just about to say, let me hear you purr.
Yeah. There's no Khajiit wares. Like
that's pretty good.
I would buy that.
I'd buy that totally.
Right there. But when the script gets longer, then you start realizing, 2 sentences in it, you're starting to sound like you're from Jersey rather than a cat. So, but then I saw I didn't get any of the Skyrim ones, and looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I can see why. I really came at that the wrong way. But then I started auditioning for other stuff, and then I started seeing the Fallout stuff. And this was Chris's project posted, I think it was the January of this year, or maybe end of last fall. I can't remember exactly. But I gone on the Atomic Radio mod as just a really small part on one of their commercials. And then he asked me, about hey, he had an NPC that he wanted roughly the same, the same kind of accent, wanted to sound a little rough. So I was like, yeah, I'll try that out. And that was Bad X, and then there was the Auctioneer, and this was all these ones were for Tales from the Commonwealth. And then he had an Auctioneer that put a little spin on, a little more polished, but he wanted something roughly the same sound. And yeah, him and I have been in contact every now and then since, and he kept posting roles, and I kept auditioning and got a few here and there, and yeah, that's where we're at right now.
That's terrific. I'd say we were joking about the internet earlier, connecting people, but there you go. You found this over the internet. Had you done like drama in high school or college or anything, or is this just something you just jumped into this kind of out of the blue?
Yeah, this was completely out of nowhere. Like I just read about it, listened to it, followed it, became interested. It was an interest and a hobby, and then it just kind of blew up from there. Not really. I'm not ready to take the career step or anything like that. Plus, I got a stable job, and that's hard to come by nowadays. So I'm going to keep that.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Very nice. So maybe can you, those of us who are on the Facebook group, even if we haven't used the mod a lot, have some familiarity with Tales in the Commonwealth. Maybe some of the listeners don't know about it. Can you give us a little bit of a background about the mod itself? What's the mod like? It's pretty impressive. Andrew's talked about it a lot, but we'd love to hear your insider perspective.
Sure. I got to read over pretty much most of the scripts for it, because they're called kind of on a general area when we do casting. And I'm telling you, man, I was into Skyrim. I mean, I love Skyrim. I actually love Skyrim even more than the Fallout series. But I kind of missed out on the interesting NPC that was before my voice acting time. But when I walked into this, when he invited me to check out the scripts, I was like, wow, this is a ton of material. I mean, this Chris he's got to be putting in hours, because I mean, he's got to do the voice acting, he's got to edit the audio, he's got to design all these NPCs, plot out because they all have routines and they all do specific things. And I'm not even sure the extent of how much that takes, but like, he's doing this and he's still doing it right now. He's constantly updating, constantly. He has a blog. He has a blog about it, 3dnpc.com. It's his blog about the interesting NPCs, Tales from the Commonwealth, all the stuff that he's really getting into, and also the casting calls for these mods, which are pretty barren right now because he's got backlog, he's got stuff he's working on, and he's not really adding a whole lot of content at the moment. But yeah, it just the amount of work, and he's just churning it out. I don't know how he fits it all in a day. But Tales from the Commonwealth, it just adds tons of interactions around the map. Anything from just you might be walking through the forest and there's a little campsite with a few people with a story to tell. Like one he just added in this last update, the 13th. Had one of my roles in it. It was just this a hunter, like a big game hunter, and it's right by Drumlin Diner. If you go like southwest of Drumlin Diner, it's right off the road. You can see it from the road, and it's just this two guys standing back there, and you walk back, and it's this little encampment, and there's this albino rad stag laying down, and you walk up and you talk to the guy, me. You walk up and talk to the guy, Von Trapp, and he's he tries to enlist you to help kill all the rad stags in the Commonwealth, so that his albino rad stag is that much more rare. They doesn't want him breeding and causing another albino rad stag. He wants to have killed and caught the only albino rad stag in the Commonwealth. So I mean, that's just one little thing. That's not even a huge quest. That's just a little it's called an interaction rather
So
than a
what
quest.
happens? It has to be impossible to kill all the rad stags in the Commonwealth. They're just randomly spawned. So I mean, but what is there any reward for that or anything, or is that just sort of like a totally random?
Yeah, it's like a radiant thing.
That's really cool. I almost prefer that for some reason.
Yeah, you can keep bringing him back rad stag hides, and he'll keep paying you for them. He'll pay you for every.
That is really, he added a radiant. That is really awesome. That I mean, radiant quests are a little controversial. Sometimes they're like, okay, I need to grind a level, so I'll do a radiant quest. Other times you're tired of it. But that is really awesome that he was able to figure out a way to add a radiant quest line to his mod. That's slick.
Oh yeah, and that's just one of many. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's it's something good because you don't have to go out of your way. Like it's something you're picking up rad stag hides off rad stag anyway. They're laying, either something else killed it or you killed it, for whatever reason, or you find it in somewhere. You just throw it in your pocket in your inventory and just swing by there when maybe you're going to buy or sell something at Drumlin Diner.
That is neat. I've been working on some achievements in Nuka World, so I haven't had mods loaded, and then I've got Far Harbor with my other characters. I feel like I really need to get into Tales from the Commonwealth now.
Oh yeah, and
What you play on, Pat? You're an Xbox, right?
Xbox, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, right now for Fallout, I'm stuck on the Xbox. My Skyrim PC career, I was on a laptop running that beast on medium. So I didn't get to enjoy all the cool graphics, but I put a ton of content mods on it. But for this, yeah, I'm stuck on a console because I don't have a PC that will run it properly.
Stuck on a console, pretending like consoles aren't the superior format for gaming.
I see. I'm not a superior race kind of guy, but coming from what you can do on a PC, I'm with Victor. What
It's
you can do on a PC is crazy.
Yeah, and you can definitely see that. For me though, it's the overhead. The console is just, well, and we hear some things like our friend Dennis on the Facebook group when the cast is having some Nuka World issues on Xbox, but generally the console is just so much easier to manage. You don't have the overhead of updating drivers and all the things. It just drives me nuts with the PC.
Oh yeah. I grew up a console gamer. I lived with my grandparents when I grew up, so they didn't care about computers. They didn't, that all I was getting was a console. So yeah, it was either that or nothing. And I was a console gamer too. You're right. The overhead, it's so easy to pick it up, turn it on. It's going to work. It's designed to work for that. You don't have to worry about compatibility requirements or anything like that with a console. It's all based on what your preference is.
Yeah.
Hey, just real quick, you mentioned that you had a small part in maybe a commercial on, is it called Atomic Radio? Was that the other mod?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Atomic Radio. Yeah, it was the first radio mod to come out on Xbox.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that. What?
Atomic Radio is actually a really good radio mod, because it doesn't replace all the music and stuff, that the default music from the game. It just adds in all its content between songs. So it'll run like old school radio skits, and it'll run commercials. Lure friendly. It's all lure friendly stuff, right on there. Like Grognak will have little skits. The Silver Shroud has a little movie thing.
ASAP. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's real funny stuff too.
Yeah, I had for Atomic Radio, Kyle. Do you have to? Is it a radio station that you tune in on your Pip-Boy, or is it fit in with, say, the classical station or Diamond City Radio?
Nope, it's a separate channel. It'll be your default. Like I said, their default music, but it's labeled Atomic Radio, ready to go in your Pip-Boy.
Okay, yeah. I tried another radio mod, and in terms of the quality, I think it was WRVR. It's the one that puts a radio station and a companion in that place where Rex goes after you rescue Rex. That abandoned radio. It actually adds a working radio station, so it's a really clever idea. Like you said, it's very lore friendly. The quality was good, but I found it repeated itself like maybe it felt like even after like 15, 20 minutes, it just repeated itself too much. And so I enjoyed it while I had it, but I had to turn it off because it just wasn't adding replay value. How does Atomic Radio, does it sort of stretch out its value in any way by not doing that?
Oh my. Yeah. Well, one thing, Chris goes big or he goes home, and he doesn't go home. There's hours. I'm not kidding. At least at a minimum, an hour worth of additional content to that radio station. So you're talking.
It's on the list, yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking an hour on top of the already list of songs that are defaulted to your radio. So you're not gonna loop. That's what was frustrating when I never did make the YouTube video, but when I went on my Xbox to record a clip of my part in that radio station, I had to wait for the first time I waited for 40 minutes and it never came around. The second time I was lucky, I got it in like 10. But every time a song would play, I would go, I'd continue my gameplay, and then when it stopped, I would stop gameplay and find somewhere to hide, and then I would let it cycle through and see if it was going to be that skit, so I could record it with Xbox.
Okay, nice, really nice. Yeah, I agree, Andrew, that it's got to go on the list to get that mod a try.
Yeah, totally. That's an immediate ad for me. What else has Chris done besides those? I mean, I'm sure that he's had his hands full.
Yeah, he's done, and
but for the Skyrim, he did interesting NPCs, and actually, no, it looks like he did some for Fallout 3 and New Vegas too.
Yeah, I'm not exactly familiar on everything he's done. I mean, I had interesting NPCs on PC. As far as otherwise, New Vegas, Fallout 3 wise, I never played mods for those, so I have no idea.
It's just obvious to me that this is nothing new to him. He's been at this a while.
Oh yeah, yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's well versed. And what's wonderful is that like that it's a whole community. The modding community altogether is, I mean, they're helping each other out. Like I'm in a Discord chat with him. There's another mod author, Eleonora. She does a lot of stuff. Like
Victor brings her up a lot.
Oh yeah, she does wonderful like home mods and customization mods. As far as she does great like mixed textures and stuff like that. But yeah, she has a lot of good stuff. And there's another mod author that I'm in there with who also does voicing for Chris. And oh man, I can't remember her name right off the top of my head. But she has her own mod in Skyrim, Anna's Followers, which is like adds followers and romance options and stuff to Skyrim. And yeah, it's a great little community that I never knew existed.
That's so cool. Well, we have a nice little community of shows, just some sort of different form, but everyone has their own little community that they find, and we're glad that people find us and listen to our shows at ASA Podcasting. Pat, now might be a good time to check in with the email box. What do you have? Some email?
Sure thing. Yeah, we got listener Kylie was kind enough to send in some an email feedback. So Kylie, thanks a lot for writing. And her note is actually very kind. She says, subject line is just wanted to say thank you. And her email goes on to say, just wanted to say thank you for providing this podcast. I'm constantly switching between Skyrim and Fallout 4, thanks to the Skyrim Attic and Fallout 3 podcasts. I'm back into Fallout 4 at the moment, and I'm really enjoying myself, and I owe it all to you. Anyway, just wanted to say thanks, Kylie. P.S. Heart-stopping moment recently was sneaking around a bunch of train cars, climbing into an open one. I suddenly find myself pickpocketing a nuke from a super mutant suicider who was just sitting there with his back to me. I panicked and just opened fire. She leaves us hanging there. She doesn't say whether it ended well for her or not, but hopefully it did.
I can't imagine it did, right?
you know, the suiciders, if you catch them if you catch them in that first round of VATS or you one-shot them, you can get them. That's actually the best thing. You one-shot them in sneak mode, and you can grab that nuke. Now, or I didn't know you could pickpocket them. That sounds pretty slick, actually.
But I'm saying, yeah, if she's close enough to pickpocket, then she's probably not far enough away to survive a nuclear explosion.
Oh, no. If it goes off, she's dead. No question. No. Actually, in normal mode, I've survived point blank nuclear explosions in normal mode with a fairly high level character. It's not inconceivable. I think in very hard or survival, you're definitely dead. But you can go right up. You can go toe to toe with them super slider if you get them dead before they can tee off. So
it's one of my favorite things, just sniping that nuke like 100 yards out or not, 100 feet out. Or what are the increments? Is that meters, yards, feet? The distance meter when it starts counting down when you get closer to your target. What
I always thought it was kind of steps or it feels like you take a step and it goes down sort of by one. So meters or steps or something. I'm not sure how it's measured.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Never gotten quantitative with that. It's a very good quantitative question.
That distance, and then you could actually calculate the square footage of the map.
Yeah, and that's actually something, it gets into sort of immersion and everything else. Because as I've shared on the Facebook group, we went to Boston over the summer and took a few pictures, and we did a bit of driving around one day, and we were going down to Providence, and we sort of drove through Quincy and go around and just sort of seeing like, okay, how far is Quincy on the Fallout map versus how far is it really? Some of the other things, and it's and obviously they the between city distances are compressed, right? If once you're like the distance from you can't run from
Salem to Boston.
From the airport to Quincy in 10 minutes or whatever it's going to take. That's not going to happen. So but then again, the distance to walk the Freedom Trail, maybe that's not that. I don't know. I'm not sure how it relates once you're in the less dense non-urban spaces when they're compressing a lot of distance to get you from Boston to Quincy really fast.
Use the jetpack.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the only option, really.
I've been loving the jetpack lately.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, episode 48 of the Fallout feed, you guys had a length discussion about the jetpack and whether taking you guys and Dennis whether taking the road or going over the mountain. Same thing with Skyrim.
Yeah.
About how you blaze trails, and was it Andrew? Was it you that said you rarely ever use power armor?
What's power armor?
Yeah. Well, there are mods, especially one that I use one of my newer favorite mods is a nanosuit mod, and it gives you basically a bunch of. It's just a cool looking nanosuit, but I mainly use it for there's a jetpack that you can wear on your regular armor or on your regular clothing. I'm wearing the general outfit with a beanie and a jetpack on my trench coat. So a little, not so immersive, but it's definitely fun, and you don't have to wear power armor.
Yeah, that's and I fully respect immersion, but at the same time, sometimes I think it's overrated because some of the fundamental mechanics, like how does the workbench work, right? How do you dump a car into that and get out a shed, right? How does to me that's if you think too much about the workbench, then immersion is out the window.
It's like a salad shooter. It's like a salad shooter. You just put it in and just chips it all down.
Yeah, speaking of immersion and that sort of thing, I had rescued Billy from the refrigerator, and since he was trapped in the fridge for so long, decided to take him on sort of a tour of the Commonwealth. And of course, we got to stop by Nuka World because that's an amusement park that every little kid wants to go to. So I'm walking around with Billy, and my wife's watching me play, and she's like, "Who's that little kid?" And I kind of paused and zoomed in and showed her Billy, and she's like, "Oh, what's wrong with him?" And I was like, "Oh, he's a ghoul." And so I was trying to explain to her what a ghoul was and the whole like how that happens in the game and everything, and she like starting to roll her eyes and like scoff and stuff like that.
You're breaking immersion.
Yeah. But then I explained like he was in a fridge for 200 years, and she's like, "How's that even possible?" I'm like, "Well, the radiation didn't kill him; it actually prolonged his life." And he's like, "So he didn't need to eat or anything?" And then I had to think about it. I was like, "Do ghouls ever eat?" And it's like, "I guess they don't really have to." And she's like, but what about all the pee and poop? Wouldn't the fridge be full? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Because video games, Tori. That's why.
Yeah.
And then if he's not eating, there wouldn't be any poop anyway.
Must be a little
So-
chute. Must be a little chute to the freezer.
So ghouls don't eat.
Well, they can certainly take the chems. We know that from Hancock.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And they
But
can.
maybe it's optional, like with vampires.
Is that optional to eat for vampires? Well, I got to.
Well, that's totally So in some lore, like I think original Dracula and some of the others, vampires can't eat, and others like say Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they can eat, and like Spike the vampire loved chicken wings, like he loved hot wings, but they don't have to eat. So it depends on the vampire lore whether they eat or not.
I don't know anything about vampires. My wife likes that True Blood show. I guess that's off the air by now, but she used to like that show a lot. So
Yeah, it went a little bit off the rails in the last couple of seasons. I gave up on it.
I'm sure
First few were pretty good.
everything does by the end.
Does it? Yeah.
So
Hey Andrew, can I take you back to your Billy comment? You've been talking before about the boy trap that's in one of the mods, and you were talking about the Fancy Lad snack cakes.
oh yes,
So I verified the existence of two separate Fancy Lad snack totally by accident in the game. So I'm running around unmodded.
oh you
and I have-
verified this. Great.
Yeah, because I always use cooked food for actual survival mode because that way you don't pick up rads. But if I pick up a Dandy Boys apples or whatever, I'll sell it, right? So it's no harm in keeping it to sell. So I happened to have some Fancy Lad snack cakes in my inventory. I was going to Cabot House to pick up some bourbon that I needed to make one of the freaking Nuka mixes for the freaking Nuka mix achievement. So I was running all the way from Nuka World to Cabot House. And I happened to be literally raiding the fridge at Cabot House, and there were some Fancy Lad snack cakes. So, okay, I'll grab those. I sold them. So I then later get in my inventory selling them, and there's two different Fancy Lads, and one of them, if I remember right, one of them is radiated, which is probably the one for the Wasteland, and one of them is not, which is probably the one from Cabot House.
No.
So it looks like there's a radiated in the base, totally unmodded base game. There are two different Fancy Lads.
That makes total sense because the ones I was making, because the difference was there was ones that I was picking up, and then there's ones I was making with the contraptions.
So maybe the contraptions is making clean ones.
It was making clean ones. That's awesome, Pat. You're a fucking sleuth, man.
Well, it was totally random, but it was when I was, oh my god, there's Andrew's extra snack cakes right there.
And I didn't even notice that there was a rad difference between the two.
I should have done a screenshot, but I was too wound up with my stupid Nuka World achievement to fully document the evidence. But
That's really cool. Nice. Oh, so real quick before we move on, we got a audio feedback from our awesome listener Ray. Ray's been doing some feedbacks for our roundtable. If anyone is interested in doing a roundtable play along, pretty soon embedded into our website, we will have a random stats generator, so people can just pop on our website and generate their own character stats. How awesome will that be?
Very nice. And that website, Andrew, is
awesome. Sorry, what'd you say?
What is the website? ASA Podcasting?
ASApodcasting.com.
There you go.
And I have to shout out Marcus. We have a listener, Marcus, who is a spreadsheet whiz who is helping out with all this project. So
thank you, Marcus.
To him, that is awesome. So yeah, we'll check in with Ray here real quick, and then we'll hop back into some more Tales of the Commonwealth conversation.
Hello, Fallout Feed. It's Ray Butcher calling in about some comments that have come up a few times about getting the luck bobblehead at early levels. I wanted to share what I do. When you make your way down and get to the Warwick homestead, you can swim across to Spectacle Island, and as long as you stay close to the boat and go up the stairs to the top level where the luck bobblehead is, you won't encounter any enemies. You won't trigger the Mirelurk Queen or any of that. All you need to do is to be able to cure the radiation that you got from swimming across the water. unless of course you had a hazardous a hazmat suit. So that's my 2 cents. I thought I'd throw that in there. Thanks for the show, and see you in the wasteland.
Thanks, Ray. Good knowledge on that.
Yourself
Thanks,
saying
Ray.
this on a Saturday night.
I'll even sleep on a futon. I'm that desperate.
Do you find yourself getting into arguments with inanimate objects?
What the fuck does that mean, Xbox? You and I are about to have a fucking problem. What? No!
If so, you need to head over to asapodcasting.com, check out our podcasts, click on our Amazon link, and make your life a better place. This commercial is brought to you by ASA Podcasting.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Oh, Jeremy. Scouring the podcast for weird sound bites.
Some good takes there.
Oh my goodness. So that's awesome. I need to look up this nanosuit jetpack. I need to
Yeah, you'll still need it's how do I put it? It doesn't break immersion too much. You still have to earn it. You have to have the perks to get it.
I'm sure I've said this before. I really don't care about immersion. I play for fun. I don't have to be submerged into a fantasy land in order to enjoy playing video games. I really just use it as a off of work, time to kick up the feet for 15 minutes and
Hell yes.
you know. It's hard to get immersed into a world in 15-minute chunks anyway, and that's pretty much how I play video games these days.
That's how I live life in 15-minute chunks.
That's like Memento. The second reference to that movie. Okay,
there we go. Yeah. So Kyle, does that nanosuit does it control like this the same way as the one on the power armor, where you jump and you use your action points to fire it off? Is that how it works?
Yep, same exact way. It's just it's really small and sleek. I think
Nice.
It's more streamlined than the big bulky, airliner jets that come on your power suit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called Nanosuit Complete Edition.
Yeah, I've never used any of those.
So do you have to combine it with any of the clothing mods or anything, or is it self-contained?
You know what? I'm not exactly sure because I have unified clothing, the unified clothing mod on.
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure if it would work, how it would work otherwise.
Yeah, and can you unlock ballistic weave shit up in there and be like, yeah, let's.
It has no armor rating. It's more. Boy, I would say it's more like because I'm wearing armor and also the general outfit in addition to it. So I think it's just a separate slot, I'm assuming, because it doesn't take the place of anything or keep me from wearing anything else.
So you probably couldn't put ballistic weave. I just try to put ballistic weave on absolutely everything that I can.
Everything.
And this, I think it's the unified clothing overhaul that allows me to do this, but I even have a pair of glasses that have ballistic weave in them.
That's awesome.
What are you walking around like 2000 defense or something?
And you can put glasses on underneath helmets and stuff with that unified clothing overhaul. It just kind of ignores the rules. Like usually if you have a face covering helmet, you wouldn't be allowed to wear glasses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that mod allows you to kind of just ignore those.
So sometimes you get some pretty gruesome clipping when you do that kind of stuff. Although I have clipping sometime in the base game. There's my dumpy roundtable character is he's kind of a pudge, and his clothes are kind of he's kind of bulky, and his leather armor clips sometimes into his shirts.
Yeah, that's really funny. That looks so silly. So you mentioned that you loved Skyrim and played lots of Skyrim.
Oh yeah, yes.
Did you also play like Oblivion and Morrowind and the older games as well?
Yeah. I started in Morrowind.
Nice.
I had Morrowind.
What year was that?
05 I was playing Morrowind.
Nice.
I was playing it in Iraq. I got it right before I left to go to Iraq, and I got a shiny new laptop from Dell. And
I assume I know the answer, but what were you doing in Iraq?
Oh, the Army. I was over there for OIF 3.
I don't know what that means.
Or Operation Iraqi Freedom 3.
Nice.
Yeah, it was after the whole Osama bin Laden thing.
That whole Osama bin Laden thing.
You know, the whole thing.
I think the history books will
Reflect it.
reflect as such one day. Were you allowed to game when you were overseas in Iraq?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When we well, I mean, you were when you were, back in base. We had.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I
was
was
not allowed to
fortunate.
encourage that out in the field so much.
Yeah. Oh, I was fortunate. I mean, I was an engineer, so it's not like I was out doing all the gruesome stuff, the patrols and all that other stuff. So we were just doing construction, building the base up, fixing IED explosion holes and stuff like that.
Well, that's very useful, and not on the front lines is good in my book.
Yeah, it was something I'm glad I did, but would never want to do again.
You're no doubt. So you're playing Morrowind in Iraq.
Yep, and then we came back and got back in the beginning of 06, and Oblivion was just coming out, and I had to have a 360, had to have it, and got it, and got into Oblivion, and played that on 360. So I'd been bouncing back and forth between Xbox and PC, and then got Skyrim the night it came out. I was there for that midnight release on 11/11.
What store did you go to?
GameStop.
What was one memorable experience from the evening? Who was cool in line or something?
There was no cool. I worked until 10 o'clock that night. I came home, grabbed a shower, went straight to the store. Was getting there right before midnight, and yeah,
was there a line for Skyrim? Was there a lot of buzz and stuff?
Oh yeah, it was packed.
I was at least a year late to Skyrim, maybe almost 2 years late.
Yep, it was packed, and I got that for Xbox and had that up until I couldn't take it no more, staring at people with mods, and we were gifted a laptop, and I said, you know what, I'm going to get it, and I hope it runs on this.
Nice.
And it did.
That's great, man. And that brought you into this world of voice acting. So let's talk a little bit more about your characters from Tales from the Commonwealth. There is a nice list. You mentioned earlier 3dnpc.com, which is Chris Takahashi's website.
Mm-hmm.
But here, I would say I've got Adam's Glow pulled up because I was messing with that earlier. I played that a bunch of weeks ago, so I was just trying to remember what all of these are about. You pull them up and you got one, I don't know, maybe like 15 quests that are already published and ready to go in the game. And you said he's still planning more, and there's already miscellaneous and encounters and radiant quests. It's just amazing how much stuff is going into this. There's followers too. I haven't run into any of the followers yet.
Yep. I think there's 3 so far. 3 full followers, and they're adding dialogue almost every update, at least a little bit, and singing and dialogue and all kinds of stuff.
That's incredible.
There's a ghoul chick who's you earn her or get her through a quest.
There's Audrey, R404, and Birdie. Let me guess. The ghoul chick is R404?
No. The ghoul chick is Audrey. She's and the R404 is a synth. Although she knows that she's a synth, and she's got a ton of dialogue. You can see her just in the railroad headquarters. You don't have to go far for her.
That makes sense.
Yeah, she was everything's lore friendly, so she was rescued by the railroad, and she's ready to go.
Say where Audrey is?
I don't know where Audrey is. No,
and
I haven't
Birdie.
found
Do
her.
you know anything about Birdie?
I know nothing about Birdie.
Nice. Well, there's just a ton of quests here. A pair of jacks. I played that one immediately. There's of course, just like it sounds, a synth and a human, both named Jack. And
oh yeah, the identical. Yeah, who's who, and yeah. I remember watching that on a Let's Play.
And Adam's Glow, I played that one where you have to take someone who's sick, I think, and going to die. And so instead of dying, they'd rather have give her eternal life, and you go baptize her in some highly irradiated spring. I think maybe one of the similar springs that is a shrine in the Children of Adam. No, it can't be. I don't know. It's definitely connected to the Children of Adam somehow on the mainland. But Adam's Glow is really fun. Right now I'm at the full exposure building, and this brings up a really good point. Is full exposure a location in the game before Chris?
I think it was an empty shop. I think that's the camera store, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was an empty shop in the game, or an empty, like you know how it's the building's half blown out and you can walk in it, but there's really nothing there.
But he has closed the door and added a load screen, and now it's a story-based quest, now called Full Exposure. And he also has one called Indecent Exposure right after that. That's funny.
Yeah, that's the racier one. yeah, that's
No, there's just tons of stuff to get into here. So much good. So, Pat, have you played a lot of any of the quest for the mod at all?
No. I loaded on your recommendation. I loaded Tales, and I think Andrea, I don't remember if we talked about it on the cast or maybe over Messenger or something. But I was having some issues with crashing, and I think it was probably I thought at first it was Tales. I don't think it was in retrospect, because I think there was a couple things going on. It was
different merge it.
Yeah, well, it was different mods, and there was also a fairly high level character, which I think again, I forget who gave this tip on the Facebook group. The way I've been storing stuff for this high level character is putting things in containers in my settlements, and somebody said, hey, you may have better luck storing things in the workbench, because apparently, like, if the game has to track all the crap that's sitting in a bunch of containers, it may be more crash prone.
I don't store it in separate. I used to do that with my first couple characters, and now everything is in the workbench for me.
Yeah, and I think it's I haven't played 3 or New Vegas recently enough to really have it visualized in my mind. My recollection in my mind is like I had a reason in those games for storing them in separate containers, but the workbench now it's pre-divided for you. So you have an ammo tab, a aid tab, a weapon tab. So I find that the workbench is actually fine for storage now that I'm using it.
I know that in Skyrim, at least, I'm not sure because I didn't really play previous Fallout games. I know in Skyrim, each container was not sortable by item type. So if you dumped it in there, it was just alphabetical order general merchandise.
And I think that was what it was. So I would do like, an ammo crate, clothing crate, etc.
Yeah, you separate them just so you could have everything sorted out, because that was one of the greatest things that I realized when I loaded up Fallout, was that one sprint was a toggle thing instead of a hold down. I loved that for some reason, and that the chests were, or not chests in this game, but like containers were sortable by item. So that's just two of my favorite aspects of this game for some reason. Totally convenient.
So anyway, I don't think it was Tales, so I need to go back to Tales. So clearly we're learning some really cool stuff about that mod, and I need to give it another chance.
Yeah. So Colin was bringing up that when I was discussing some of the Tales of the Commonwealth quest, there's one where there's a trailer park, sort of actually kind of by the entrance to Nuka World over there. And also there's a Cave of Raiders over there too that I ran into. Those guys are pretty fun. I'm going to talk about those guys in a minute. But there's a trailer park over there. Have you been over there, Kyle, to see what their quest is? There's kind of like some hippie people living at the trailer park.
Yeah, I remember you saying about that on an earlier podcast. I haven't seen that one yet. I forget what it's called, like Happy Vale or some cheesy name for the trailer park.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've yet to run across that one yet.
Yeah, but there's a little girl who's kidnapped by some super mutants, and raiders are about to attack, or super mutants are about to attack the settlement, and you have to decide between defending the settlement or protecting the girl. And it turns out that whatever you don't do, the other thing turns out very terribly. And I was describing this to Colin. He was like, well, that's how the quest should be. That's not how they are in Fallout 4 anymore for some reason. That's how they were in like Fallout New Vegas, more like in the older games. But there was actual consequences for not completing a quest. And that's one thing I like to commend Chris on, is sort of putting a consequence into the quest. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's more than one quest that you'll run across that there's going to be consequences, regardless. Even with I didn't play the entirety of R404's quest for her, but once she is my follower at the moment on one of my characters, and once she's with you for so long, once her affinity gets high enough, she'll trust you enough to kind of go a run on her quest, and that'll end up leading you somewhere. And you'll meet somebody, and that person, kind of gives you a choice. It shuts her down. It gives you a choice, and depending on what you make for that choice, could completely change how you continue that game.
Yeah, that's really incredible how it's branched out and structured that way. Yeah. So let's go over some of your characters here. There was the one that I sought out first and foremost was in that Raider cave I was just talking about up by the entrance to Nuka World, sort of on the western border, maybe the northwestern sort of quadrant there. There's a cave. I forget what the cave is called, like Belch.
Yeah, Belcher's Cavern or something like that.
Yeah, something. Yeah. But in there is a cool looking raider, I guess, with a interesting helmet of some face covering, right? How would you describe? You know this character well?
The leader, or you mean Bad X?
No, Bad X we're talking about here. This
okay.
is your big raider character, Bad X, who I sat and just sort of like cycled the button as much as I could. I was trying to get it to say absolutely every line that I could get him to say.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Like I try to walk around and I try to find or even get frustrated and then just kind of look to see where they're going to be. The encounters, and then I get there and I'm trying to get them to talk. I'm like, I know I recorded a bunch of lines of dialogue. Talk to me. Come on, it's me and you here. We know each other. Let's just let it out. And he'll say only a certain amount. And Chris described this to me when I recorded for the Whale Hunters. On the East Coast, there's a dock over by it's one of your settlements. I forget exactly which one it is. I posted it on the Facebook, but
does it happen to be a lovely beachfront community that everyone loves called Nordhagen Beach?
No, not that lovely gem. I think it's farther north. I forget. It's out on a limb. It's out on a plateau. It's out on the water. And they're just chilling on this boat, and and there's two of them. I did the voice for both, and I hop on the boat. I'm talking to them. Hey guys, hey, nice to meet you. Hey, it's me, and talk, and they'll say a few lines, and that's it. And I ask Chris, I'm like, how do I get these guys to talk? What quest do I have to do to get them to open up to me? And he's like, well, those guys are, it's kind of like a random event thing. It's RNG. You don't know exactly when they're gonna spout off particular things. Their conversations between each other they'll have whenever they're in the mood to have it. You may wait there a minute, you may wait there 45 minutes and they don't have it. So yeah, even with Bad X, I remember he does interactions with Gran, which is the older chick who sells you stuff in the Raider Cavern, and does interactions with all the other named raiders. And I couldn't get him to. I was following him around. I'm like, come on, let's do this. And yeah, he didn't have any of them. So yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just their interactions with their schedules and RNG. The randomness of it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So I actually my short time playing with Tails, I actually happened to get the and I won't describe it I don't want to spoil it, but I got the quest that led me to that cave. But when I went in there, everybody was instantly hostile. So I had to throw down And unfortunately, I didn't get to hear Bad X talk at all because he was already hating on me. So they were all aggro. So I had to just put them all down and didn't have a chance to go back and play that again. I don't remember if I had done something or.
Well,
I'm not sure.
the earlier versions, when it first was ported over to Xbox, I was on that. I was on day one. I was ready to go, ready to check it out. And yeah, it was buggy. You weren't the only one having issues.
Okay. So all right. So I definitely need to give it another chance, especially now that Chris is continuing to make some good adds to it.
Oh yeah, there's an update probably every week, maybe 2 at the most. I mean, he's churning it out. If he finds bugs, he's welcoming bugs so he can get them fixed. He's on top of it.
I know that Victor really respects Chris, and for our community here at ASA Podcasting, if Victor gives you the nod, that means that you're a good modder. According to our little.
Oh yeah, Victor's very knowledgeable. Especially like I was watching his little, not tutorials, but his little advice for the community on his YouTube vids today that he posted on the Facebook, and I was like, wow, that's, I'm a little slow, so the technical part of that I would have to actually watch while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
To really grasp it. But yeah, he knows his stuff. So you're right. Educated information.
That's nice. So I need to find these whale hunters.
Yeah, so I do the 2 whale hunters encounter. It's just a random, or not a random encounter, but an encounter.
Bad X I found.
Yeah, Bad X, that's the easy one. You get that. That's like usually the first quest that once you install the mod, that's usually the first quest that people come across.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that cave is not there. That was added by the mod, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I don't think there's really anything out there other than that. There's a little hut on the hill adjacent to it. But as far as
now, Nuka World's there. Like you could throw a stone from that cave's entrance and hit the Nuka World Transit Center.
See, I don't even have Nuka World yet, so I've yet to see any change in that
literally
landscape.
Right there. It's amazing.
Well, good. Then people can stop by and say hi on their way to Nuka World.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's like a little raider settlement right there next to Nuka World. Very appropriate.
It's the raiders who weren't cool enough to get into Nuka World.
Yeah.
Raider slums
weren't tall enough to ride this ride.
Those raiders are really awesome. There's part of their quest, you have to go deal with someone at a boxing gym. I know that boxing gym was there before, but I loved going and picking up the boxing gloves. I saw someone maybe from the Fallout Off the Record group posting pictures that they were dressing all their settlers in bathrobes from the Far Harbor hotels and boxing gloves for weapons so that they all looked like, boxers walking around the settlement. I thought that was really funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I want to try to collect that, but I've noticed in Nuka World, Pat, have you noticed just an exorbitant amount of boxing gloves as weapons? Is there a robot that uses those?
No, I mean I haven't noticed.
Like 7 boxing gloves with like 3 of them with different legendary effects or something. I'm just like, there's a lot of boxing gloves.
Wow.
Here.
There may be a location or something. I've actually noticed almost a shortage of legendary drops in Nuka World.
Really?
Yeah, like I have it. Like there's that new rifle that they added, the 762. I forget what they call it, but it uses 762 ammo. They added Nuka, which actually I like.
I didn't even know there's a new kind of ammo because I just sell everything that's not 45 in this.
Yeah, well, that's what But I thought I would try this thing. It's actually pretty good. It has a larger clip than the combat rifle. And I think the scope is a little better, but I haven't picked up a legendary. So I was hoping my entire playthrough of Nuka World to pick up a legendary at that, and I never got one. And it's they really made it tricky because you guys know how there's sort of a couple different kinds of silencers. There's muzzle brakes and there's silencers and all the other stuff. Mm-hmm. They changed this one so that if you want to put a muzzle brake on it, you have to have gun nut and commando. If you want to put a silencer on it, you have to have gun nut and rifleman.
And commando.
So commando is automatic, rifleman is non-automatic rifles, right? So they actually made to fully trick out that gun, you have to not only have gun nut, you have to also have max either rifleman or commando, or maybe it's level 4, but still a high level of commando or rifleman.
Huh, that's incredible.
So it's a little different mechanic. A couple things like that. Interesting changes to some of the mechanics. Minor, but interesting changes.
Yeah, they're really gearing it towards the late game with those aspects.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, they recommend level 30, so it's they're already suggesting it's a pretty high level.
Were you watching Harlan's progress? He's like, I'm creating a new character and I'm going to go into Nuka World, but I have to. They recommend level 30, so I'm going to level up to level 30, doing everything, but I'm not going to do any of the quests or the DLC. I'm just going to run around.
I think that is great. I think that's a very cool.
Then I'm going to Nuka World fresh and as like win there, and then like go out and like form all these raider settlements and then rescue. He's doing all of this so he can rescue Preston Garvey after he set up a raider like empire just to see what he says.
Yeah. Nice.
That's awesome.
That is a wonderful idea. I can't wait to hear what he says, because that's that's the way to do it if you want to like do a raider character, like start that way from the start. And
yeah, that's great.
So that's what go ahead. Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, finding new ways to make it entertaining so it's not bland. Well, you have to wipe. If you have to wipe over and start over, then go ahead. If that works for you, then my characters never make it past level 40. I'm on my I have 3 characters right now. I had 2 more before it. 2 more pre-mods, 2 of them pre-mods, and then these 3. So I have 5 characters, and none of them made it over 40. I just keep freshening up.
I have a similar amount of characters probably, and I get maybe 50, something like that, and then start a new character and go do something else.
I'll tell you what really freshens it up. I'm gonna pitch another mod, Endless Warfare. It just came out. I think it came out last month. That mod has completely changed how I play Fallout 4.
Can you say the title again? Did you say Emma's Warfare?
Endless Warfare. Yeah, what it does is the mod author. Oh man, I wish I could credit him. I don't know his name right off the top of my head, but
look that up real quick.
Will do.
He added 1,475 new spawn markers throughout the map. And it's very customizable. Basically what you can do is you can up the spawn, or like these spawn markers, you can, make them low, medium, high, and they'll spawn in random stuff. So they'll spawn in, unfortunately, right beside your settlement when you're level 4, you might have a Mirelurk King.
Uh-oh.
That was, yeah. I just started a new character last week, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a Brotherhood playthrough. Made a chick, doing a Brotherhood playthrough. I'm like, all right. I did my little thing with dance, and I'm like, all right, I'm branching out. I'm going to start my own little headquarters up at the drive-in. Boy, I spent 2 hours just trying to build a relatively small wall around there so I could get started. And then there's Mirelurk King here.
Oh, good Lord.
since there, Raiders here, like a little bit of mix of everything. And the fun part about it is that you can turn them on each other. They're still aggro to whatever. But where the mod really shines is there's presets as well. And I went back. I didn't start a new character for this. I went back to, like I said, I have 3 characters, and my essentially Minuteman guy, who I just did all the settlements. That's what I really got my settlement fix out of. Was building up settlements and whatnot. But I was always upset that they weren't attacked very much. It's really not very thrilling until you turn on what's one of the presets? The one I did for that one, I did Rise of the Robots or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
And it's just all these map markers are spawning robots. There's robots. Oh, you can't walk. You can't walk from heck, I don't know. Let's say the distance of Sanctuary to Concord without being attacked by robots. Well, unless you're sneaking by them, but like they're everywhere.
That's really good, especially if you want to invest in the robotics perk and then like make a bunch of robot settlers around your.
Oh yeah, and that's great because they give you parts.
Yeah, you could farm robots there.
Unfortunately, they're not biased. Like it's not one or the other. You get everything from iBots to Sentry bots, and it doesn't matter what level you are.
Yeah,
they're still coming.
That's a little brutal.
Yeah, those ones are brutal.
It's like if you do a random start and they place you down anywhere in the southwest or southeast on the map, and anywhere in the south of the map, you don't want to be placed because that's where all the upper level mire lurks are and all that stuff.
Yeah, I tried one of those alternate start mods, and it no matter what I did, it always put me at Warwick Farms. Mine is down there.
I've only tried it once, but mine dumped me in Sanctuary, and I was like, "Well, that's boring."
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I was trying to start at Sanctuary because I was going to do I was trying to do a particular silly trick with a character, and I wanted to actually be close to the Perception bobblehead. So I was actually trying to get the Sanctuary just dumping me in Warwick Farms. So I looked up the Endless Warfare mod, and it's on Nexus for the PC. It is by Devil's Wish 182. Real name is Jacob Klar, and as Kyle said, 1,475 spawn points added to the map. So that is pretty darn endless. Wow.
Yeah, it's changed. It's changed everything because like my Minuteman version I did with the robots. There's other presets like I had a railroad version where I had a guy who, I completely switched the lore for it. There's a ghoul zombie apocalypse mode, which is essentially the same thing but with ghouls, and they're everywhere. And so I made that kind of railroad, and the guy wants to save synths to help us fight the ghouls, and I just ran with it. And then the last one, the Brotherhood of Steel one, I settled with the synth Brotherhood of Steel versus synth, which is nice because it spawns a bunch of synths throughout the map, but it also spawns Brotherhood guys. So they may like wander into your settlement, hang out for a little bit, sit down, drink a cup of Joe, and then take off. Or you might just run into Brotherhood guys, and since I'm part of the Brotherhood, it kind of fits out pretty good.
I can't stand Brotherhood.
They are tools, yeah.
They are tools, but I had to try. I've never done a full Brotherhood playthrough.
I really want to do a Minuteman. I haven't played it with them. For some reason I kept trying to, but thought that I couldn't play through and complete the main quest through the Minuteman. But it's evidently possible, and lots of people have done it. So
you still run to the memory den to activate the courser ship, right? But then you take it back. I think that's it's been a long time since it did Minuteman, but I think you still go to the memory den, but then you bring it back to Preston or to Sturgis to build the gizmo.
Speaking of those guys, I was down in, is it Quincy or something the other day, and like found like some terminals or notes or something involving Sturgis and the Minutemen and their original.
Yeah, well, that's where they were. That was that whole Quincy gunner crap was Preston's Minutemen being betrayed by one of their own.
Yeah, and
that's what drove them up to Concord because they were running away from Quincy.
That's really interesting. I like finding stuff like that in the game.
Yeah, that's the stuff. I mean, I think we talked a lot over the podcast about, and before I joined, you guys were talking about it too. The sort of different, maybe slightly less sort of quest oriented story mode of Fallout 4. But I think some of the depth of connections of things like Preston and Quincy and some of those connections that are just all over the map. There seems to really be a lot of those. I think they've done a good job with those little, almost Easter eggy things.
The place, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So I keep interrupting myself, and I'm so bad about that. I apologize, Kyle. Sorry. Bad. The Whalers. Who else are you?
Bad-X, the whale hunters, the ghoul whale hunters. A Assaultron in the robot clinic. It's right outside of the exit to the Mechanist lair. If you leave the Mechanist lair and go straight, it's right at the end of the buildings on the right. It's part of a quest, or maybe multiple quests.
That's so did he add like the crazy robot filter to make your voice sound like that? How did that work? And do you record a clean take and he does all the alterations, or do you add any of the like effects and stuff? How does that work?
It all depends on what he or whoever the mod author is needs. Like I added the filter on my end. for that one. It was kind of a time crunch. That one he was getting ready to push it out, the mod out, and it was kind of a time crunch. And because Assaultrons are normally female, so I just raised the pitch and put a little reverb on there to try to make it sound like a robot.
How much does it sound like the game's vanilla Assaultron female voice?
Well, it was at a dark place.
Was that your goal? I just mean, were you doing your own thing, or were you trying to attempt to make it sound like that, or were you going for your own robot take?
Yeah, just a robot. I don't even think when I did it, I didn't know it was going to be an Assaultron. I just knew it was going to be, because all I see is what you see if you look at the website. It just gives you the script, and a little brief overview. So I'm seeing, all right, there's the doctor. That was already filled up. All right, well, they needed one for Nurse Nanny the robot. I offered. He's like, oh, that'd be great. So I did it. It doesn't quite sound like an Assaultron, but it's a different breed.
No, I'm sure it's incredible. I just was wondering if that was like a goal or not.
Yeah, and that was a pretty fun one too. I mean, a lot of the roles he gives out are fun. That one was fun too, because it's like, you walk in, you're like, I'm addicted to chems or whatever, and the Assaultron's like, all right, get up on the take your pants off and get up on the bench, and you're like, what? and the best part, or not the best part, but one of the great parts about the mod is that he fills in all the player dialogue, the voiced player dialogue. So you're not standing there silent. You're using recycled player lines that are fit seamlessly in there, that are already from the original game, that he makes fit in there to it. So when you're talking to an NPC from from these mods, when you're interacting from them, your character is speaking it.
Nice.
This is incredible.
So yeah, I did that Assaultron.
Yes.
Like I said, the Von Trapp, the Rad Stag Hunter, and
yes, that's awesome too. Whereabouts was he again? Did you mention that?
He's like southwest of Drumlin Diner. If you go to Oskins or Gorsky's cabin, it's like right south of that. If you go south of that and west of Drumlin Diner. It's not too far.
Gorsky's cabin reference. Good job, Pat. Gorsky.
Yeah. And I think that's all.
I've died there many times. It's memorable.
Who's there?
It's that Ghouls. It's that family of Ghouls, but they're so close to. They're so close to Sanctuary and Concord that you can run into them before you're ready for it.
Yeah, when I got there, they were getting slain by a death claw, but that's.
Nice. It's always good when the Deathclaw does the hard work for you.
Yeah, well, then you got to fight him. That's the hard part. But the Ghouls helped me out a little bit. They helped out.
Also, that's one of my favorite things to just randomly wander in the Commonwealth and you see two things fighting. It's fun to just watch and let them whittle each other down, and then one of them dies, and then the other one is just about dead, and you can take it out just with ease. It's always fun to do.
That's how I survive with this endless warfare on, because I have whatever my theme is, the zombie apocalypse or the robot, but then I also add the random, like I put it on medium, the random spawn filter. So it'll do, the pre-programmed stuff, and it'll add in random spawns. So then you have those, a lot more of those random interactions where, what was it? I was doing the Brotherhood mission today that you go to the satellite array, and you're following those rescue beacons. And you're going to the satellite array, which is in vanilla, it's infested with super mutants, and there's two of them that usually have a rocket launcher. So I'm trying to get in there and try to find them so I can try to pick them off. Well, thankfully, Mirelurk King sneaks into there and is fighting all them. So then I got he buys me even more time.
Nice.
And a lot of Mirelurk Kings. I don't know why, but a lot of them, even low level.
I hate it when you set up your cages because you want to fill up your settlement with animals and monsters and stuff. But whenever you catch a mean one, that will cause that type of enemy to spawn right outside of your settlement and attack you like constantly until you release that thing and kill it from its trap.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So if you have like a Mirelurk trap, it'll just constantly spawn different. I've never seen a queen spawn, but every other kind of mirelurk I've seen spawn just right outside of your settlement, and then it's like sometimes upwards of like 10 to 15 varieties of that kind of enemy. Like if you have a dog caught, you'll get like albino feral mutant thing, like just crazy different levels of things. But I've always found that interesting. So Bad X, the Ghoul Whale Hunters, and the Saltron Von Trapp,
and one more, the Auctioneer. There's an auction house added to, if it's just west of Diamond City, that little lake there. If you look at the map, there's a little lake right west of Diamond City. It's right on the edge of that lake. There's an auction house, and that one, man, did a ton of work for that one. And there's this, you go inside, and there's all these different variety of people. And
you do the like no,
he doesn't sound like that. He doesn't sound like that, but he's he just rattles off he's auctioning all this kind of stuff, and he's talking shit on the stuff he's selling. He's like, but you want it, you gotta have it, you gotta pay the money and come and get it. And I know of two quests right off the top of my head that run you through that. You have to buy something. One of the Tales of the Commonwealth quests have you take a pornography holotape to there and have him sell it off or something like that. I haven't done that quest yet, but
that's awesome.
I remember doing the dialogue for it, and and then there's a couple quests run through there, so that's cool. Like he not only has quests, but he has his quests crisscross. So you may find one that leads into another, and then into vanilla stuff, and then back in. You just never
Is that
know.
Indecent Exposure? Is that one?
I don't know. I don't know if that one's it
It's
or not.
fun to look at the titles of these and try to guess which one, because trying to read into which one could be a dirty innuendo. You know what I mean? Like under the bridge, under her bridge.
What exactly does that mean?
Saints and sinners.
Well, here, I'll do this one for Dennis. There is one that you might like, Andrew. It's called Three Little Wanderers. I don't know if that has anything to do with boy traps.
Three Little Wastelanders, it says here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wastelanders. Three Little Wastelanders. I don't know if it has anything to do with boy farms, but that might be
go easy.
I know. I was dropping one for Dennis because he was hitting you hard the last episode, so I figured I'd be here for him.
Everybody hard, man.
So yeah, those were all the rules that I did for Tales. I did one for another mod that hasn't published yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you at liberty to tell us anything about that?
Yeah. It's called Knights Errant. Play a.
Okay, you're gonna have to spell both of those words. Which sort of knight and errant? What?
Knights as in chivalry knight.
Oh, okay.
And errant as in ERRANT.
It just means a traveling knight. A knight errant is a knight who travels around.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, see, Pat, I don't know stuff, and I have to ask questions because I bet you there's at least one listener out there who also had no idea what he was talking about.
It's okay.
I'm a dummy, and I'll admit it. I'm not scared to ask questions because I know.
Nor should you be. I did not mean to imply otherwise.
Knight errant or knights errant? Did you say?
Knights errant. Yeah.
Knights
I don't know when that one's dropping. I haven't heard anything from the mod author since I recorded the lines several months ago.
And anything about? Is it for a character? I'm assuming.
No, it's a quest mod.
Okay.
And I'm just recorded lines for a Skyrim mod for Anna's followers, the one I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I know I would butcher her last name, but Anna Castigliani, I think is her name. She's also a voice actress, and does stuff for Chris and has her own mod. So yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I like how everyone shares back and forth and appears on each other's mods and stuff. That seems really, really interesting. Like how you were talking about how it's a really cool interwoven community.
Yeah, because I met her and Chris's in our little Discord group. and she said she had stuff, and I was like, oh, I'd love to check it out. I've never done a Skyrim mod, and she had a couple rolls, and I tried them out, and she gave them to me, and I was much obliged. And yeah.
That's great. So Victor and Colin and people can check that out.
Yeah, it's Anna's Followers. It's been around for a while too. And it's got
She's still adding new things to it. It seems, right?
yeah. See, the Skyrim community's still kicking, like just as strong.
That's amazing. When the game came out in 2011, right?
Yeah, 5 years later.
That's pretty incredible.
That's a staying power.
Well, see, that's also kind of bad because that means the staying power of that game is so strong that they're not in any rush whatsoever to get us the next installment.
That's true. But I mean, at least we have something to hold us over.
And with this release of the remaster or whatever, they're just like, okay, we just pushed it off another 2 years here.
Well, yeah. Did you see the news item that they've stated they're working on 2 other games?
Yeah, and I saw there was evidence of one of them is probably space-based, based upon the evidence of the copyrights applied for or something like that. And I was like,
they're working on Prey, aren't they? A new Prey game?
I don't know what that is.
Prey was a old first person. Think like Turok. Do you remember Turok?
Oh yeah.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like Turok in space. It's the first Prey was decent.
I think I played that on N64. Is that
possible? Yeah, there was Turok Dinosaur Hunter was on N64.
Yeah.
It was a fun game.
So okay, we've got all your characters there. That's really awesome. Did you have any sort of anything you wanted to tell us about like your current character? What you're playing now? You said you have multiple characters. Do you concentrate on one, or do you kind of bounce back and forth a lot?
Yeah, I bounce back and whatever my mood is. If I feel like messing with settlements, doing Minutemen kind of thing, I'll go to the one character. If I feel like zombie apocalypse, kind of rally the robots to your side kind of feel, I'll go with another. And was a Brotherhood of Steel one. I tried playing the preset where you fight the Enclave. They bring the Enclave back. It's Brotherhood of Steel versus Enclave instead of Synths. I made it 3 minutes. 3 minutes in that one. I walked outside of the police station that you first meet Dansen. I walked outside. Him and I were heading to ArcJet to do our first mission, and we round the corner, go through the little alley, and we round the corner, and probably 8 or 9 guys in Exo 1 power armor and a vertibird in the air, shooting at us. I'm like, you know what? That's this. I died 3 times. I was done with that.
Oh, good lord!
That's when I switched it over.
You should be on our side. Look at your cool power armor. Come on.
Yeah. I wish I could have killed them to see if you can all you can loot from them.
Yeah, I have such a hard time getting an enemy out of their power armor so you can take the power armor and not have to just take the pieces. I hate taking the pieces without the frame. I always want that damn frame.
Yeah.
I'll even reload sometimes if I accidentally kill a person in the power armor. I just keep trying to sneak around and get to their backside and pop that fusion core out,
Well,
so hard to do.
I finally a follower finally took my power armor the other day. I've never had not a follower, but a settler. I hopped out of it to do a screenshot of my current character outside the Skyrim power armor that they just released, and I hopped out of my nice new fresh Skyrim power armor, and I did my screenshot. I went into the workbench, and a rad scorpion wandered towards the outside of the base, so the 3 settlers I had there ran out to attack it, and one of them hopped in my power armor, forgot to take the fusion core out, and hopped in it, and I'm like, oh, am I even going to be able to get this back? I've never had it happen before.
Oh, no.
And I didn't think, oh, no, because there's only one set in the game, as far as I know of. And a lot of power armor mods are like that. You only get X amount of sets in the game, and that's it. So I was lucky and just fiddled with it and found that you press and hold the A button on them, they'll hop out.
Oh, nice. I thought maybe you could pocket the fusion core.
Yeah, you can also, well, I don't know about a modded version, but for the standard ones, you can just talk to them and you say that you have a line of dialogue. I need you to get out of your power armor.
Get out.
They'll do it. Yeah. That was the real problem for me, because before I realized that you had to take the fusion course out, I was just leaving mine around my settlements, which I still do, but without the fusion course. And I came back to Sanctuary, and those little shits were running around in my power armor.
You're putting miles on it.
Yeah. Isn't it enough that I feed you and give you beds and water and turrets? Don't leave my power armor alone.
Okay. Pat, did you have anything else that?
No, I think this has been terrific. Maybe one thing is, Kyle, we've talked a little bit about some of your other projects there. Is there anything else you wanna pimp while you're here? Any social media links or anything you want to share about stuff you got going on before?
Yeah, please promote any of your projects and all of your Twitter and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not. Don't really have much to plug. I mean, I have a Twitter, Kyle Brannan VO, on Twitter, but I'm not horrendously active on Twitter. I get on there I do a lot of I push indie games. I love the indie game scene. I root for the little guy. So if I see good indie game stuff, I'm always retweeting it for them and whatnot. But yeah, I'm on Facebook in the Facebook group. You'll see me there. A lot more now that school started and got a little more free time. But yeah, as far as other projects, I don't have any mod-related projects, and I'm doing an animated short with a fellow right now, and I'm supposed to be on some YouTube animation series. My role hasn't come up yet, but yeah, other than that, I really don't have a whole lot going on in that aspect.
That's really cool. Be sure to share it when those things start hitting the airways. Be sure to share those either here or on the Facebook group. So look forward to seeing you in some of those other media. That's really cool.
Oh, okay. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll do that. I definitely will.
Very nice. Kyle, do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to express before we sign off for the evening?
Well, I just appreciate you guys in the podcast. I've been listening for, boy, I don't even know, probably maybe 2 years now, since before the roundtables, before Fallout, when it was just Michael, and yeah, I haven't really done the Facebook thing all that long, and when I did,
yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Is like it seems like you, I don't want to say just a recent joiner into the Facebook group, but
yeah, recently active.
Yeah, maybe so. Like but okay, that makes sense. So you just started using Facebook not too long ago.
Yeah,
we really enjoyed having you in the group too. That's really cool.
Oh, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, that's you guys are great. It's a great little community. I've learned stuff and had some chuckles, and I got to make that beautiful picture of you and Billy. That was fun.
Oh.
And yeah, it's good times. Hey, that gave me a reason to download the Juxtaposer app on my phone. Whenever you posted that you and Billy's trip to Nuka World, I'm like, wow, that's some big brother shit right there. Andrew, you're just a hell of a guy.
Let's go.
Yeah.
If you're in the Facebook group, of course you've seen this, but if you're not in the Facebook group, you should join up so you can see cool pictures like the one he's talking about now.
Always a good time in the Facebook group.
Oh yeah.
It's facebook.com/group/a Skyrim Addict Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, as we are at the Fallout feed. Any audio feedback or emails can be sent into the Fallout feed at gmail.com. We're probably going to be doing a Skyrim roundtable next. So if you have any interest in that, we will start taking roundtable play-along participants. But we won't even need to write in for that anymore, because we will also embed the Skyrim random stats thing into our asapodcasting.com website. So that'll be exciting. We'll just keep warning people, and we'll get that posted to the internet here before too long. And thanks again, Marcus, for your help with that. I know we need to get the ball rolling a little bit on the Skyrim one. So Pat and Kyle, thank you guys for podcasting tonight. If you don't have anything else that you'd like to say.
Hey, Andrew, should we pimp the Etsy link for the
t-shirts?
Yeah.
Thank you, Pat. So go ahead and mention that.
Yeah, so Michael, who's the godfather of ASA podcasting and the far-flung podcasting empire, has an Etsy shop where he's selling T-shirts for the Skyrimatic podcast and the Fallout feed. 2 separate shirts, not like the Facebook group where it's combined. It's 2 shirts, and you can find that at www.etsy.com/shop/ASA podcasting. Michael's got the good branding going on. You'll find us at ASA podcasting just about everywhere. Maybe just a quick nod to Chris Takahashi. We've been talking some really terrific stuff about all the great mods that Chris has done. You can find him on Twitter at 3DNPC. So it's at 3DNPC. That's the numeral 3. He's also got a Patreon, and you can find him at patreon.com/3DNPC. You can support him there and all the terrific work he does for the modding community. Atomic Radio, Tales from the Commonwealth, interesting NPCs for Skyrim, and likely some other good stuff. So Chris is definitely a guy to watch out for. He's doing some terrific work for the whole community.
Man, Pat, you are on it. You're almost like a professional at this. You're too good for this show. That's awesome that you already had that at your fingertips. Big shout out to Chris Takahashi. Thanks.
That was pretty smooth.
Yeah, that was awesome, Pat. And totally unprofessional for me to acknowledge it like I just did. So
that's all right. We're on this together.
Kyle, thanks for being on the show with us tonight, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Kyle, terrific to chat with you. Andrew, thanks for getting us together.
We didn't really get into much of the quests, so when Pat has some more time after he finishes Nuka World for the umpteenth time and gets his ass back from Far Harbor and plays some more of the Tales from the Commonwealth, then we will actually get into maybe some of the nitty-gritty of some of these quests.
I think there's a Roundtable Season 3, Nuka World, Tales from the Commonwealth. I think we've got it in us.
That's what Pat has been suggesting, and I'm pretty willing to maybe attempt that after the Skyrim Roundtable that we'll do. Next will be Nuka World. And Tales from the Commonwealth. That sounds like a really, really fun.
Or maybe it's a season 2.5, but I think it's.
You're underestimating how many quests there are for this interesting NPC. There's lots to do. It'll be great to report back on this. So that's pretty exciting. That's good stuff.
Good deal.
Yeah. I just thank our listeners for tuning in, and we will see you in the wasteland.
See you in the wasteland.
See you, everybody.
Downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com. where you will find the Fallout Feed, the Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the wasteland.
Is this the part where we say something witty?
Anybody know when the 12-hour ASA podcasting charity stream for cystic fibrosis is?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Easy there. I'll tell you. It's October 29th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Don't tell anyone. That's under wraps.
Oh, is it under wraps?
No.
What's under wraps?
I was kidding.
Geez, don't scare me like that. Get me in trouble with Michael. Hey, if you're lucky, you'll get to hear more great parenting advice like this.
Punish the child, punch it in the head.
You throw the baby in the
flamethrower.
Eat the baby, Jeremy.
Right.
And Jerry's eating babies.
Hey, Victor, did you know Andrew can do some of his son's favorite impressions?
I wouldn't know.
Well, here's a couple of them.
I've been looking forward to this.
Choo choo. A little boat. Choo choo.
And of course, those of us here at ASA Podcasting find that
adorable.
And maybe someone's favorite band by the name of
Meat Shield
will join us and sing some of their greatest hits, including
Elephant on Roller Skates.
Creepy Uncle Laugh, not included. Or what about this one? And finally, Colin's favorite song.
Do you have your crack cocaine in the break?
That's right. All of this could be yours and more if you tune in October 29th between 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to the ASA Podcasting Cystic Fibrosis charity stream. More details to follow. This commercial is brought to you by ASA Podcasting.